Morning, folks. Maggie and I are out for a walk today. We're walking up the Peddars Way in Norfolk. The Peddars Way is a long distance footpath quite close to where I live. The start of it is only about 10 miles away from my house. So we thought we would start a little series on the Peddars Way. It's a route I've walked before. It's a route I've cycled before quite a few times. And it's basically a long distance footpath following an ancient drover's route, which starts in Nettershall Heath, just into Suffolk, and then it goes in a almost straight line up to home next to the sea on the North Norfolk coast. It's a beautiful long distance path, about 45 miles long, and it's a nice one that you can do in stages if you want to do several sort of short walks, or you can do what I've done in the past, and that's to hit it in one go. It's a bit much to do in one day, unless you're super fit, but you can punctuate it with a nice overnight camp along the way, which is what I've done in the past. Sort of done it over 2 days, or even over 3 days. I've done it once, and it's a really lovely walk through some beautiful parts of the Norfolk countryside. So we're just about to leave Nettershall Heath. We've been walking for about half a mile or so, and we're about to cross over the river Little Ouse, which is very small at this point. You may have seen it in a previous video. I did a canoe trip down a short section of the River Ouse, but further downstream where the river's a bit bigger. Well, this fence up here is new. This wasn't here the last time I came. This taller fence on the right hand side. This little bit of the path here is lined by these massive oak trees. I mean, that is huge. That must be 6 foot across in diameter. I don't know what the circumference of that times by 3.14, I guess. But that's massive, and that's about the 10th one that I've just passed. Lovely. I love a big English oak. Look at that. Gorgeous. So we're just about to cross over the busy A1066, which is the main Thetford to Diss road. It's quite a busy road. Today it isn't so bad, but during the week there's a lot of traffic. so you do need to take a bit of caution crossing the road. We've just gone past the holiday park at Thorpe Woodlands, and we're just approaching a bit where there are some boardwalks normally. However, we've had a lot of rain recently, a lot of rain. Well, we had a lot of snow which melted, and then we had a lot of rain on top of that raised water table anyway, and there's a lot of flooding around, including the bit that's behind me, which is where we need to go. So we're going to try and make our way across it, but I think we may end up with wet feet. The bit we had to cross through is behind me. It came well up over the top of my boots. My feet are moist, to say the least, and it looks ahead like we've got more of the same. So the boardwalk, which is only a little bit underwater at this point, has actually become part of the flowing river. Okay, that's how deep it is. And there is the river. That's the River Thet. I've paddled parts of this as well, but it's clearly broken its banks. And what we've just been walking through is floodplain. Hey Mags. Well, my feet are soaked. The water came well over my boots and just filled my boots up. I can hear my feet sloshing around in the bottom of my boots. But in the interest of completing the video, we're going to continue. You know, we're only out for an afternoon. Doesn't really matter that I've got wet feet. We'll carry on, and I can dry my boots off tonight when I get home. Yay! Come on in. Ah, not again. Sorry, Kel. You're right. So behind me we've got a relic from the war, from the Second World War. It's a bomb hole. This whole area here was used as a bombing range by US air crews to practice for bombing raids. Well, this whole area really was a hive of activity during the Second World War. There are a lot of airfields in the area, a lot of big bomber bases, and they've all, they're fragments of which are still here today. So, you can't drive for a couple of miles in this area without coming across some reminder from that period in history, be it an old airfield or a bomb hole or something or other. Now though, it looks like a bit of a playground for dirt bikes. Well, we're probably about a third of the way through the walk now, I should imagine, maybe a little bit more, but I'm getting really hungry, so we're going to stop and have some lunch. I brought my honey stove and my Trangia burner to go in it, so I can just heat up some water. I bought a little pouch meal to have for my lunch, and yeah, I'm going to see if I can squeeze a bit more water out of my socks. But yeah, food first, hungry. Sharwood's Bombay potatoes today, just a heat in the bag jobby, straight in. Now stupidly I forgot my lid, so I'm just probably going to take a little bit longer to heat up, but never mind. And there's enough water in there for a hot drink as well. I've actually got the base of my honey stove with me that you'd normally have if you had it set up with 6 sides and you were using wood. You'd have this to build your fire on, so I'm just going to stick that on the top. That might, I know it's got holes in it, but it might help a little bit. There you go, have a drink then. Right, my Bombay potatoes are ready, and I've got one of these British Army ration pack cherry drink powders. They're meant to be had cold, but they're really nice hot, and they're full of sugar, which is what I need. So I'm going to have that as my drink. It's really nice. A good thick sauce, lots of potato, lots of onion, lots of tomato, lots of seeds, and yeah, it's really good. Just the right amount of spice heat as well, for me. Right, that's better. I've got a full belly. I've got slightly, and I stress slightly, drier feet. Time to press on. So I mentioned that the Peddars Way was an ancient drover's route. It was also a Roman road later. The Romans used the existing route, and sections of it are absolutely straight as an arrow. You know, you can see that there's definitely Roman influence there who are very good at building straight roads. But you can see here the path runs on top of a raised bank, and a lot of it is like this, and I guess that's sort of the Roman road, you know. They tended to build roads slightly higher than the surrounding land. A lot of this area was often flooded and marshy, so you know, they built their roads high so that troops and goods could move about the country, even when there was flooding going on. So yeah, but you can really see it at this point here. There's a whole load of chickweed growing along here. You can see it down here, look, with these little white flowers. I did a video on this stuff a couple of weeks ago. It's a really good salad, and you can it just grows like a carpet, so you can pick a lot of it very easily. It's very tasty, good in sandwiches. Another World War II bomb hole. This one a little bit more overgrown. So behind me we've got the next big road to cross. It's the very busy A11. It's a big dual carriageway, very busy main sort of run between Norwich, Thetford, Cambridge and ultimately London. So it's a big busy road. Yeah, and then after then we should be back into some nice coniferous woodland again, which should be lovely. Well, not too far to go now. I'm a little bit ahead of time. I'm being picked up in the village of Stonebridge by my dear wife, who's very kindly offered to come and pick me up. My daughter dropped me off this morning, or dropped us off, should I say, and my wife's very kindly going to come and pick us up. So I'm probably only about a mile or so away from the village where I'm being collected, and she's not going to be here for another 20 minutes or so. So I'm going to take the opportunity to stop and have a little drink of water and something to eat. I've got a Kendal mint cake with me. I've had these things before, and it's basically pure sugar, but with a minty flavour. So it's yeah, kind of like toothpaste, really. But it's loaded full of sugar, so it's good energy for those moments where you've kind of ground to a halt. I'm sure you know what I mean, when you're out doing something physical and you just use up all of your energy reserves and you need something just to perk you back up again. This stuff is great for that. Or you can't eat too much of it. Oh, that'll do. So I thought I'd show you our route today. So we started off just down here at the car park there, and we've walked up through that bit of woodland. This is all Nettershall Heath here. This is the section where the pigs were, and then we crossed over the 1066, and then we carried on up here. This is where all that flood water was, where we sort of waded our way along next to the river and over the bridge, and then we came up here. This, you can see sections of these are so straight as a result of them being used by the Romans. And then we continued. That's the A11 here. Crossed over the A11, we crossed over the railway crossing, and then we came up through this woodland, and we are currently just on this little section up here before we come down into the village of Stonebridge just here, where it was marked on the map that there is a pub. So if anybody's thinking about walking the Peddars Way or the North Norfolk coastal footpath, I highly recommend this book here by Cicerone Guides. There are other books available, and I have nothing to do with Cicerone, by the way. I just find this book really good. It's got sections of Ordnance Survey map in there. It's got lots of interesting facts about the things that you'll see along the route, and yeah, they're good little guides. Take a map with you as well. Ordnance Survey well, there are different scales of map available. There's the Pathfinder maps and the Explorer map, which I like, the orange covered ones, which are 1 to 25,000, and they're a good scale. Have lots of detail on there, show individual buildings and houses and things on there, so it's useful. But yeah, get yourself a good guide. So like I said earlier, this is just the very first section of the Peddars Way. I suppose I've walked about 8 miles of it today. Well, I've travelled 8 miles anyway. I've walked a lot further because, of course, when you're filming, you've got to set up shots and set the camera up, walk out, then walk back and retrieve the camera. So you end up walking a lot further. But yeah, 8 miles of the trail has been sort of covered, if you like, in the video. But you know, it's a lot longer. It's 45 miles in total. So you can break it up into chunks, especially if you can get dropped off and picked up along the way. Either that, or you need to park and you need to walk out and then walk back to your car again. But obviously, you know, you end up walking double that, which is fine if that's what you want to do. You know, if the purpose is just to get out and get some exercise, and you know, then that's fine, isn't it? But yeah, you know, I personally prefer to travel the route once and not have to then retrace my steps going back if possible. But yeah, it's a lovely route. There's lots to see. It covers some really breathtakingly beautiful sections of the Norfolk countryside. You know, there's heathland, there's woodland, both sort of pine. There's a lot of Scots pine in this part of the country. We're famous for it. So there's a lot of pine woodland. There's also a lot of deciduous woodland. There's a lot of beech woodland and oaks and all sorts. And there's lots of wildlife to be seen. You know, there's a lot of deer in the area: muntjac deer, red deer, roe deer. So if you keep your eyes peeled, you'll see all sorts. Birds galore. We've got a lot of birds of prey in this area. Buzzards and red kites. So keep your eyes peeled in the skies, and you'll see all sorts. It's you know, we're really very lucky in this corner of the country. So my aim is to do a kind of series on the Peddars Way. I love this route. I love this footpath. So I'd like to do sections of it and record them. It's quite difficult to do the whole lot and record. just because it takes longer to do each section because you're filming. But yeah, I think if I can do short sections of it like I've done today, I could build up and end up with the sort of full picture, if you like. I'm not going to do them all back to back. You know, I've got other things that I want to film in the meantime, but I will certainly be coming back, and I will pick up from where I left off, if you see what I mean, and do the next section and continue doing so over a period of time. The next couple of weeks, or next few weeks, however, for me, I'm going to be really busy, so probably my videos are going to be less frequent, and that's simply because I've got building work going on at home, and me being a carpenter, that means I'm doing the building work. So you know, I've got to juggle things around a little bit, and I've got to spend some time doing the work that we need to get done at home. So I'm going to try and do videos when I can, but they're certainly not going to be out as often as they have been. Once the building work at home is done, then normal services will resume. So I'd like to thank you for joining me on my walk today. Maggie and I are going to go home and get cleaned up, and I'm going to attempt to dry my boots out. My feet are still very damp. The problem with the boots that I'm wearing, which are Gore-Tex lined, is that once water gets in, it can't get back out again. So yeah, that water from the river has been splashing around in my boots. Even though I wrung my socks out, there's still a lot of water in there. So yeah, looking forward to getting my feet dry, which would be good. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.